What's up, guys? Chagiga Daf Vav. So today we're talking about the second half of the Mishnah, which is, first of all, when we say katan, we know there's a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel in terms of what is considered to be a katan. It's not about age; it's about physical ability. So Beis Shammai, is always a little bit more of a machmir opinion, holds that you're considered to be a katan when you can basically be carried by your father on his shoulders. We're not talking about all the way from your house to the base of Mikdash, but rather there are sort of two legs to this journey. One of them is from your house to Yerushalayim, and the second one is from Yerushalayim to Har Bayis. So if you can be carried from Yerushalayim to Har Bayis on your father's shoulders, then you are considered to be old enough to be chayev, not necessarily in the mitzvah of aliyah l'regel, but at least in chinuch. Beis Hillel says, no, you got to be a little bit later, not just to carry it on your shoulders, but you also have to be able to walk. That's the important part. I mean, holding your father's hand nonetheless, but still, you got to be able to be somewhat independent. They each, based on that machlokes, we ask a question. Let's say a child is lo aleinu, if someone is lame, let's say a handicapped child or blind. What's the deal? Are they still chayav in chinuch? And Abai has a good answer. He says basically, if when they become an adult, they'll be chayav in the mitzvah of olas riyah, then as a kid they are chayav in chinuch. Meaning, if he's going to heal and he'll be able to see when he's older, then he is chayav in chinuch, and if he'll never heal or if he'll never be able to walk again, then he is not. The next part of the Mishnah talks about the value of karbanos. So we have machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel again. Beis Shammai says that the olas re'iyah is worth 2 manes, and the chagiga is worth 1 maneh. So the ola is double. Beis Hillel says the opposite, that the chagiga is worth double of the ola. And the reasons given by Beis Shammai is because the ola goes up 100% to Hashem, so it's more. We want to give more of that. And he also says because on Shavuos, then that's what was given, the ola. And as opposed to Beis Hillel, who says that no, the chagiga was offered before Sinai. And this is something that we're going to talk about in the next half of the daf, so that's why it's important. The chagiga was offered before Sinai, so that's why we want to offer more of it. And also, if you look in the Psukim, it talks about Shalom a lot more than it does about the Ola. So because we mentioned that, we said, how does each one hold by each other's opinion? How does each one argue each other's opinion? And Beis Shammai, when they deflect Beis Hillel's point about the shlama being brought in the midbar, they say that no, there's a pasuk that says vayishlach es na'arei b'nei Yisrael vayalu olos kvasim vayizbechu zvachim shamim l'Hashem. So it does say vayalu olos, which makes it seem like they were brought in the midbar as well. The question is just, what is the nature of these olos that were being brought? Were they the olos re'iyah, which is what Beis Shammai wants to believe, they were also brought before Sinai, or are they the olas hatamid, which is a separate category altogether? That's the question here. So the Gemara goes off to explain. I think Abai breaks this down nicely, but we have team olas re'iyah and we have team olas tamid. Team olas re'iyah, we have Beis Shammai, as we just explained. We have Rabbi Shmuel, because he says that the pratim, he says that the klalim, all the general mitzvahs were given before Sinai, and the details were given in when the Mishkan was built. So, like when it comes to bringing a carbon tamid, the general principle is you have to bring a tamid, and the smaller details are things like you have to skin it, you have to dismember it. So, like, how could you possibly bring a tamid in the midbar if you didn't know those halachas? How could you do one without the other? Based on that logic, it must have been that the carbon that was brought in the midbar was the carbon olas re'iyah, not the olas tamid. So he's on team olas re'iyah. Then we have Rabbi Eliezer, who says the pasuk of olas tamid hasuya har Sinai. It says asuya, meaning it was stated in Har Sinai, but it was not actually brought. That was 3 people for team Re'iyah. Then we have team Tamid, we have Beis Hillel, as we said earlier. We have Rabbi Akiva, who says that no, actually the Kirva Velo Pisca, which means that they brought the Yidden throughout the desert, were bringing the Karban Tamid since the beginning. And what about the pasuk that says that they stopped bringing the Karbanas throughout the desert? So Rabbi Akiva says, no, that's referring to Shevet Levi, because they had unwavering faith and dedication to Hashem. Rabbi Yosef Galili says that there are 3 Karbanos, the Ola, the Shalmei Chagiga, and the Shalmei Simcha, and each of those is teaching us something unique. So Shalmei Simcha, what's unique with that mitzvah is that it's celebrated by both men and women. The Olas Re'iyah, what's unique about that mitzvah is that it's all for Hashem. And then the Chagiga, what's unique about that is that it was brought before Matan Torah. So that puts him on team Olas Tamid, because he says that the Shlamim was brought back in Har Sinai when the Ola was not. The Olas Re'iyah was not, sorry. So that's those are the 2 teams. Just parenthetically, later on, Rabbi Shmuel's idea that it's just not possible for the pratim to be given first, meaning you can't bring an Olas Tamid unless you're doing skinning and dismemberment, was ultimately disproved. So we're going to remove Rabbi Yishmael from team Olas Re'iyah. So we have really 2 versus 3. Lastly, there's a pasuk that we've been talking about. Vayishlach es na'ar b'nei Yisrael vayelu olos kvasim vayizbechu zvachim shalmim l'Hashem parim. So what does that word parim mean at the end? Are we saying where were cows involved? Are they at the end that the shlamim used cows, or are we saying that all the karbanos had parim involved? Bulls, sorry. So then Gemara says, why do we care? Well, we want to know about the trup, how do we lane it, and also let's say I make a neder that says I'm going to bring a carbon like they did in the midbar. So we say teku, let it stand, and zeo. That's Chagiga Daf Vav. Have an amazing day.